I usually don't believe, but these guys seem pretty okay.
Well, like, I've thought for a long time that I'm a fan.
I was the main skeptic. Not anymore, but I can pretend on a podcast.
Eating popcorn, I think. Now's the time for the next tech.
Enough already.
Funnel generation profit. You could make a sign out of that,
We've
right?
been
It was
through
all
too
real.
much.
Had to prove he was
I'm speaking
real.
like a crypto cypherpunk now, right?
I need another person to talk to. Can I have another one, please?
Hello everyone on the Axiome channel. We're launching a new column, podcasts. You can tell by the vibe that we're all set to have a cozy chat, spread some ideas, and communicate. What's today's discussion about? How to
But
make it more fun?
definitely Axiom next DEX, the DeFi market for sure. We have a lot to talk about, plenty of expertise.
To discuss that. So I think it'll be an interesting conversation. So enjoy watching. Brew some tea, and definitely with a cup of coffee. With a cup of tea we must. Watching in that kind of
And
company.
this will be the first video where you see these faces that have already been there, and there's Artyom Shapovalov on the channel youtube.com. But finally, for the first time, we're just going to chat about our opinion. No need to train. We've recorded plenty of educational materials, so let's just chat now.
Yeah, with pleasure. There will be an extensive section. We'll discuss many things because in one way or another, Axiom is socially connected with crypto. It's, because there are a lot of people here, an active community, and a huge market connected with NextDex. So we're going to conduct various examples. We'll talk about, and for the DeFi market and its analysis at some point. Yes, it's probably a problem.
It's floating. So it'll be interesting. Here.
Meaning there is something to tell.
We understand a lot. Well, imagine for 4 months, essentially, we are in the pre-launch of the project. Literally a week since it launched, and there's been a lot of experience gathered, a lot to talk about. Well, we've been shooting videos for YouTube for a long time, but that was more videos like that, let's say. So according to the specific documentation, here we can delve into the details of what we're thinking about. You as Lena, me as Artem, and we have quite a bit of experience in crypto. Well, I've been in crypto for 5 years, and you, 2.5 years.
Well,
It's not
yes,
just about
3.
crypto, like we're trading something, saw it somewhere. We were deeply involved in the projects, and we have stories to tell. So it will be interesting.
Know what I want to start with? You say it's only been a week for the project, a week since it's been in the network, but so much time has passed. There's a lot to tell. How much time has passed? What time are you talking about?
Well, I learned about the project at the beginning of December. It happened by chance. You remember we were involved with project assistance. We helped with the tokenomics, making connections. Didn't make the best impression, but very good in the market. Again, we don't have a website where you can find us, but people still reached out. So it's like word of mouth. And when I received the Axiom documents, it felt like, a work environment to me. I accepted it just as I would any other project. And I rarely participated in them. How to make some money because the crisis was quite serious.
like providing a service?
Yes, like Kazan and services. The floating rate really opened my eyes to the project. Nothing supernatural inside. Well, kind of, but it feels like... So, you remember me then? I was sitting, studying the documentation for a long time. We had a long discussion. I didn't really let you in on the topic because my mentor just threw it away. Study it. There wasn't even that it was Axiom. It was Project X.
Well, I'd even say I had the feeling that it was secretly sinful and you hadn't formed your own opinion yet. You didn't share much about this information, what impressed you, and so
Yes,
on.
and specifically the variable rate and how
Developers responded
my
to comments. For me, it was just wow.
That is, I mentioned a few things from that initial document. 2 points I mentioned, they corrected. And I thought, wow, the guys did great. Quickly, efficiently. And at some point I realized that
They're
really
interested in the forecast.
when you get sent a project in crypto, often, one way or another, 95% is objectively just a cash grab. Well, that's a fact.
Well, especially the part that reaches the CIS Incas at the pre-launch stage.
Yes.
From my observations, I can say that usually more fundamental projects in the CIS, people recognize them on their own, join corpse hunting communities and elsewhere, and go to them to find out information about them. Those projects that come into the CIS, well, generally, yes, the main thing is to get launched. And
We'll see when we
see.
get this.
Yes, that means, well, it was a bit of a surprising approach to start with. I
At the
agree.
moment I saw the documents, I knew nothing about NextX or anything, but the feeling goes to it's precisely the inner feeling that it's something big. Maybe I felt it right away. Well, not day by day, but when I started diving into it, my immersion usually in projects, if it's just like a contract, that's one kind of immersion. But here I had no contract, something like their help out. They just dropped the document. What do you think? And I got so curious inside.
What's a big red flag for you? Although now on the internet, it's something else.
Other
The
stuff.
green
Who for
flag
you?
Common
was
practice, hasn't it?
specifically the developers' attitude towards the project. I was inspired by the fact that they really care about what we are doing right now. Well, you get what happened in the other projects. It was kind of cool. Good job. Literally a discussion. I mean, had to not just fight, but really stand your ground, like properly, not boring.
Interests don't get interested.
Here's the community's
Share your point of view.
perspective. Again, from my own experience, I assume usually in crypto projects, there are people who somehow people move and convey their ideas. There are developers, and usually there is no bridge between them. So to convey the people's perspective to the developers, so to speak, it's tough because it's two different languages. What people want is 100% profit, 1,000 X's, and they want it tomorrow. And how it works on the development level. I mean, I understand that in this project, did you feel the meaning?
Yes, very
Why
much.
did he even bother
yes,
with them?
At some point, maybe I did get in their way, but initially I was very inspired by the story. The developers really care about how people perceive this project, not in the sense of worrying about whether it will work out or not, but
Doing
in terms
so
of
is
how to make
good.
it better. Yes, many things. For me, it was a revelation. Floating interest rate, 3 types of burns. They were implemented right from the start. And how they are working now, you see? We've burned over 310,000 coins within a week. Those are huge numbers. I mean, if you take the entire tokenomics, we essentially have a 20% extraction per month. But in terms of tokenomics, it impacts us 10%.
So I'd like to talk to you more about this. It's actually the most interesting topic because, in fact, our meeting with Axiome, it all started with the economic documentation. Then the registration site started to appear, followed by more documentation, apps, and
Yes,
so on.
and there's enough for
The
execs
real
too.
excitement started when we saw the tokenomics ourselves. So let's talk more about it.
So this is directly to the point with us, right?
Yes, and actually, it's interesting. There are many different crypto projects in the world, and all crypto projects struggle with the main problem, inflation. So obviously, any token needs to be backed by a product's value, but how do you achieve that? To prevent the product from leading to token devaluation. Simply put, staking, for example. Every cryptocurrency may face inflation issues, and everyone is fighting it. But it's here that a completely different mechanism was used for the first time.
I will say this. There are many mechanisms here, including referral, leadership statuses, burning plus floating rate all together. You can't pick out just one thing because it only works efficiently together. Just imagine if we didn't have a strong referral, right? But that burning thing we planned wouldn't have worked because it effectively works just in the concept it currently exists. And remember, we spent a long time when it was all set. This economy is we're like, yay, awesome. I really liked it. I got it. I was totally lit at that moment. And you searched for a long time.
I simply didn't believe that such things happen. Well, I'm not saying that we, for example, we've studied all the crypto in the world, got all the dynamics, we know it all too well, like the gurus out there. No, I'm not Vitalik Buterin, and even he might not say that about himself. That's the moment from everything we've seen. Not everything we counted we were part of. Some projects we just planned together. And those, well, it's all clear.
Well, about the video
yes,
errors.
either there
That's what
will
we
be
said.
no demand or there will be an oversupply, meaning either an uninteresting idea or hyperinflation, sort of. Everything is simple. For me, at that moment, towards the end of last year, 23, I legalized it in my head. That's how crypto works. Like the financial system, so does crypto. It operates such that it's either useless to everyone or it's in high demand.
Reactions. Well, yes, there. Well, sort
In
of.
most cases, except for Bitcoin monoliths and Ethereum oil, excluding such fundamental projects, newcomers start working. Project, not that I've lost faith, but somehow my experience led me to this opinion.
But
So yes, I didn't believe.
I was looking for where the hole
Yes,
is.
and I want to say that we struggled with it for a week, but for a long time she thought I was fanatical. It was very... These are challenging times for us because I dedicated 90% of my time specifically to the Axiome. 99 even, perhaps. And Lena couldn't understand what it was. Like, what did you find there?
Nima, me, and you, Roma,
Yes,
provoked you for 2 months to admit that the system is not perfect, looked for various bugs. There, for example, a floating interest rate, speaking broadly,
market ratio.
Like the central bank's key rate, like
the
leftovers.
refinancing rate in Belarus, like the Federal Reserve rate in America, That is, the more the volume of coins in the free market, specifically the money supply, it's in the economy. It's called free tokens in crypto. The more there are in the market, the lower the mining rate. Thus, this switch is always going up and down. Genius. Maybe there is something better, but even in economics, which is thousands of years old, nothing has been invented yet. Knowing that this is the most effective economic inflation mechanism, transferring it to crypto, I still bombarded you with objections. For example, the volume of nuclear power plants increases in the free market. Mining falls to 1%. Staking is not interesting. What about the project? Maybe some developments have failed. There are no other products, companies. Well, it happens, let's say. What's next? And you even had an answer for that.
Yes, always.
The volume of coins in the free market is increasing. No matter what's happening in the world, why? The reasons. There could be a million. The number of free coins has increased. The mining rate dropped to 1%, for instance.
But you do understand that for this situation to happen, we need either a lot of delegation, which significantly delays the emission by several months back. Emission is fixed 1% together. What's that? And we mustn't forget about the huge community here, which can easily devour it all, you know, like how it happens, for instance. In coins, where there is no interest rate, you have, say, a bear situation going on in the whole market. Let's take such a case. And people realize it would be great to buy some Bitcoin there, grab some Ether, that is, move from alts. And here's the reason. People start throwing stakes, for instance, will just have an emission and no new one will appear.
Well, let's assume emission has become stable, no new ones are appearing, but what we have is acceptable. I understand it's unlikely what we're observing now this week, but I declare that
For a long time, I was the main skeptic. Not anymore, but I can pretend on a podcast.
This 1% is mined. The emission has slowed down significantly, but let's say it's unnecessary to anyone. Is that possible?
NextDex comes into play here. You see, when you have a token that's mined even at 1% and it's very scarce, goes this. And an exchange that, well, essentially imagines capitalization for the future on the exchange.
So far, no.
Look at the witty.
Genuinely not
Now,
yet.
we will also talk about this. It's a very important topic about DeFi, but NextDex will confidently bring in $10 million. I understand this clearly.
How did
10
you
million
arrive here without
profit
budget
from exchange
committees?
fees, and half goes to Axiome. In this case, our emission stopped. It's like we have 30 million tokens in 6 months. Emission 1% and each of us. So, you think people won't be interested in buying the token and staking it to earn a clean
You
profit?
agree? I've been
I
convinced
often have such
for a
dialogues
long
with the
time.
team. Many not just skeptics, people. Not always can imagine such an extensive system. That means to think so many steps ahead, it's not an easy story. It's not that I'm proud. I was into fencing. Yes, conditionally. I have a strategically built mind.
You understand
what I'm talking about. I can calculate and I see the big picture.
Our previous experience also made itself known
when we distance ourselves from
And
the
the
project.
intermediate
And the intermediary,
ones.
just as much, drop hunting is strong. Blew my mind in that respect. And now I see that if you take a step back and imagine such a situation, there's always a way out. In this case, Postish's, there was no way out if there was hyperinflation. You know, once hyperinflation occurs, it's practically impossible to avoid it. But if it's prevented from the start, it's a completely different situation. Others, generally beings...
Agreed. Okay, let's assume. The mining coins is all good, but the value, the worth of any token is influenced not just by supply, which, well, the system is perfect with. Not only do we know about the floating rate,
let's
I
put
want
it
to
this
ask
way.
about the table.
There is no such thing as a perfect tokenomics. It can be either good or bad.
Promising.
Promising,
Yes,
indeed.
Looking
promising.
forward and at our future tasks, it handles well. It's good, it's thoughtful, it's detailed. We've looked at so many scenarios together. How much burning percentage did we account for? 5%.
Kids laughing, kids
You know,
laughing.
just for fun, it's been 5 days since the ICO. I checked the forecast spreadsheets. We underestimated ourselves. Considering that we're just all in here, exploring
Let's play.
perspectives, only after learning about NextDex, it blew our minds. Well, all right, let's not sound fanatical, right? At the very moment, realizing the prospects, evaluated them, went all in. But even before that, when did we like Technomics? We were very optimistic,
But
and
we
missed.
always we did
Emission
not
is
wait.
at a
We didn't
standstill.
always think positive. We always considered the average, the worst case scenario. Remember? Always, we make such miscalculations. Because if it's good, it's easier to handle than if it's bad. I accounted for 5 to 15% burning. I miss you. So, How much does that make? Almost 35.
So if we take 100% of the day's emission, that's 110.
We are firing it
For
up.
a while, yes. But again, there's a lot accumulated. I think the percentage is much above 15, far above 25.
Really looking forward to Dion stats so we can boldly calculate everything, see how it works. Because, well, from my experience, this is the first time something unfolds like this. I'll try to guess a very bold statement. You might be disputing it now, or maybe not. Can this be called a new type of mining? Here we had POW, that is proof of work, proof of stake, deposits, and so forth, with a floating insert present. This is a completely different kind of token mining. A deposit always made any token inclusive. And it's light, it's technical, it's safe. So deposit is a good mining method. Compared to proof of work, it's not that expensive. Right now, to get 6 bitcoins, you need, 6 bitcoins per block. And for that, you need a huge amount of Ethereum.
Soon it will be 3.25.
It's almost 325, but I mean right now, and you need to earn those 6 bitcoins, which might not have been worth it as much as they cost now, but they could have been much cheaper. And for these 6 coins, you need to have tremendous power. Because the power is increasing, there cryptocurrency is mined. Deposit is easy, it's simple, it's understandable, it's accessible to anyone, but its main flaw has always been inflation. And do you think it's a bold statement that a deposit with a floating rate?
New consensus?
Yes, this is not a new consensus, but a systematic one. System for token mining.
I would talk about it maybe in a few months, because right now, I can't say it's new. I'd say it's unique. It's sketchy, but to say it's a whole new consensus doesn't quite roll off the tongue yet, not just yet.
From a consensus standpoint, technically no. Concept, it's like a new concept. Usually a deposit is either 3% per year, and okay, let's live long. Either an interesting, profitable, but most likely we're here for a short while, inflation. And the concept of a depot with a floating rate, well, for me personally, it sounds super innovative right now. There's nothing simpler than a deposit nowadays for people, especially those entering the crypto market.
So it's just a level up. You know, it's that level
there are
of
apps,
security.
you know.
Yes, so it's like a level up for the deposit. Maybe someday the community and other projects too will come to this. Again, we have good experience with drop hunting. We spent 8 months processing a huge variety of projects from layer 0 to the likes of Starknet, which provided a drop. And I want to say that there is experience in projects to say that top projects also make mistakes in tokenomics.
Such cryptonyms explain it exactly.
Yes. And you can't lay the foundation for it at the beginning, but you can devise mechanisms. Exactly why I say it's a level up, remind me. Because in fact, there's a mechanism that seriously curbs inflation. We don't have halvings. Absolutely no halvings.
Brilliant.
This is Nur. Here, well, from the perspective of Bitcoin, for example, yes, when there's a halving, everyone awaits it like New Year's because mining will become more difficult. And fewer Bitcoins will flow into the market.
And maybe it will affect its cost,
yes, and maybe
but that's not a guarantee. It's a promise that there will be less mayo production,
yes,
but it's not a guarantee.
And there's a rebound effect in the depot, meaning if you're earning half as much, it's like having half as few people. Roughly speaking, the community will leave. The majority, because, well, they mined a large amount of tokens at good rates and just dumped them. I'm talking about projects not on the Ethereum level because Ethereum has too low mining rates, but in general, new ones especially, yes. If we're talking about new projects, not 3 years ago, but this year, for example.
Those who have potential for new booms.
Yes. And you know what I noticed clearly? Projects that are created in a bear market tend to shoot up more in a bull market. Which what
Agreed.
And, by the way, NextX and essentially Axiome were also created at Medvedka. I can't say that Bachka is wow.
The venue is already filled, yes, but I haven't looked it in the eye yet. It's now March, the end of March 24th. Tom, I have a question. Very strange, but very relevant, especially after several videos from companies and so on, after the AMA session with the SEO company. Do you believe in the existence of Alex?
Oh, is this about the theory that Alex was created by artificial intelligence? I was blown away by this story.
Especially after the movie. Remember, we also went to see Master and Margarita with you. And yes, Mr. Fyun. In our community, Alex is called Mr. Fyun because in the first Zoom, when he appeared to the entire community, he forgot the number 5. Never. Master and Margarita was also me. But that's all. It's artificial talent. Your evidence...
when those theories started, really stirring in my chat. I was very, we did call him, remember?
Looking at the first month, why am I calling? I assembled a team very quickly, nearly 400 people in a couple of days. Plus, I wanted to ask a few questions, and it turned out he didn't write back. Well, through. Telegram.
Can I make a tiny remark? As we were heading to the podcast today, I was looking out the window and this thought was spinning in my head. We found the golden thing, the vein. And then I'm like, stop, she found us. So we're very lucky that to you, the same Alex, he wrote to you himself. So, is he real?
I was really surprised. He's just so, I don't mean perfect as a person, but in the sense that it seems by the feel, all the internals, if you don't talk to him personally, by the feel, especially after the video for the Russian community, well, it feels like it,
I feel like it's kind of unreal.
Yes, but my German would be even worse in a promo video.
Guys, remember in the chat, I was saying, I'm telling you guys, don't German for our SaaS community. I recorded a video in pure Russian.
In the Russian language?
You were filming videos, you were speaking the script. Was it difficult for you?
Hold that thought, and the gaze in the frame generally blurs a bit. Makes you want to venture into faraway places to share some personal thoughts, just like we're doing now, just drift away. But to drift away, and in a non-native language too.
And under cameras and by the script.
But you know, it's more a matter from the perspective that it's generated by artificial intelligence that really reaches absurdity. But nowadays, anything is possible. Here, you see, it tells more from a perspective if he's got the experience. To lead a crypto project, and do you need to look like Vitalik Buterin, like our most peculiar crypto enthusiast? And they're pulling me off the hook and into kind of trouble.
Geek to
yes,
be a
definitely love the geeks. Or can one be a person resembling something generated by artificial intelligence?
Cryptocurrency SEO is a unique kind of art, meaning it's not exactly a developer. It means he doesn't have to be a super developer.
You know, most developers don't actually want to be in the spotlight.
So what I want to say is, when we called each other, I was convinced that he is indeed an expert. Very strong. You understand, the people I was talking to at the time, they are guys from a very good trader, market makers. And although that's consequently drop hunters. And when I talked to him, I didn't feel a difference. That means he's smarter in that regard. More expert than me in many areas, especially DeFi. And I understand that if in DeFi, and he's creating a DeFi product, he knows his stuff. I ask questions about the competition and how much. How strong NextDex is. Well, why was I interested in NextDex? Because it's important to understand NextDex created Axiome. But Axiome is he was.
But she was the first to enter the world to announce its existence.
That means that half a year before the full launch of NextDex, we have an Axiome that collaborates a huge number of people within. And this is a great project for that. Just like Polyhedron created Pant back then, we were doing all of this, yes. Just like a bunch of projects were doing something super projects before the start.
Some activity to gather people and steer them towards the main product.
The first call, I clearly saw that he's an expert. And on the topics that interested me, I know I dig deep. I'm really passionate. And he replied with ease. And for me, it was the first push towards, wow, cool. Another one to take this project seriously.
I haven't personally interacted with Alex, but my impression of him through Amasice, Zoom and so on, well, from some communication you have with him, it's very cool that he has experience in interaction, in business. Because, you know, we as people from the crypto world have been evolving there and only there lately. We have no bosses, we have no structures. We still live in the white zone in Belarus, where you can easily mine cryptocurrency, and it's all tax-free, so to speak. We're outside the system. Systems and systems don't concern us at all. But when do you build in Europe cryptocurrency business?
No,
the system concerns you a lot. And so here, the fact that Alex has experience in traditional business, the medical business is actually quite complicated. Not at all simple, in fact, medical equipment and so forth. But there is experience with bureaucracy, harsh bureaucracy, which I honestly cannot stand and would never want to deal with. And for someone like me, who of course isn't quite there yet, but if I wanted to start a crypto project, I would need a team of developers and people who have experience in business and solving problems. Actually, it's fair to say that Alex has awesome experience in solving business issues. He's an expert in cryptocurrency, in currency and trading, including Forex. And judging by the ICO and technical support, the development team of that one areas of this project have awesome experience and autonomy in development. And well, it's yin and yang. So for me, it's the perfect combination. A person who's an expert in business and gets crypto, and developers who are experts in crypto and get business. That's it. It's
Turns
like
out that
aimless.
any crypto project
It's over.
consists of the three most important crypto projects.
It's a community. In any case, a community, no matter how cool your project is, they can just develop you.
Yeah.
Naturally, it's going to be a product. That means you can be a cool developer. Just create a Bitcoin like Satoshi Nakamoto did all the time, but it's unproductive. There's no utility, and in that case, we have everything here. And he was able to gather another important thing around himself. That's the legal base. That is,
That is, it is specifically no.
I work on legalizing the project in Europe so that no worries about the project being somewhere.
And again,
Yes.
accounts and popping
Everything's
out of
official
your
with
wallet.
us, and he's really worried about it. It's important for me as well. Because in Germany, it's totally different, essentially.
Even from the business
to something
windows.
else altogether.
That is, you can say that the community's opinion, its perception of Alex, is not yet deep enough.
Sangar is like, heavily battered by life. Well, we are part of the CS, and you get me? The belief in some bright future that we'll have some crypto project that will save us. We've been through a lot. So many scams around, naturally. This is the CIS here. Well, it's the Wild West compared to what's happening over there. Although in America and Europe, it's also present. It's not only. The CIS has a different approach, I'll put it very bluntly, but we have fewer income opportunities.
And so, trust in a person is very important for the CIS community.
I was getting at the fact that when they see Alex, for him, he seems too ornate. Yes, very.
Unclear.
It's very stylish. Well,
Such
you've
perfect people don't exist.
It can't be like it can't all be like this. He's probably an actor. He's definitely
generated
that.
by artificial intelligence. No jokes, guys. Honestly, we've had these talks, and I had to
Really prove
to write something real.
Navigating
Did you
capture
see?
for August.
Them
be
had a real
continued.
one once, and they are real and full.
No, it's real. This is the community's message to Alex.
Fiji.
And on the other side, the developers and Alex, when we crashed the ICO payment system, they are genuine.
Well, that's why the community, especially the Russian-speaking one, will soon not just love, but realize that this is a person. It's just that it's still at the pre-start of the relationship, like it was with Xiaomi. Well, those are such on how to approach the
But
product
objectively,
presented.
we now need more as people. Developments, more action, less talk from the SEO, etc. So I think it's moving in the right direction. It comes out when people want to engage with it. But the focus is on now.
Not on Justin.
You know what I'm going to say? Mostly crypto projects. SEO doesn't show up to the community call. It's a very rare story. Imagine some SEO there. Well, if we take something from DeFi, right now, Backpack, for example, is reaching out to the Russian-speaking community. Let's talk about it. Again, I don't remember who exactly was there, but let's say some
Well,
major
let's start with the fact that we don't even know most
Yes.
SEO projects.
Yes, it's a fact. Meaning you're trading on some UIDX, but you've never been on Zoom with it. And it seems no one is bothered by this, right? Usually things like Pancake Sweet Syrup, Sushi Uni, and so on. Sales task is just different, not to interact with people. That's what promotion is for. For this, there are influencers, there are information transmitters. I'm an influencer, you're an influencer, that's our task. The task of SEO is to create processes, to create and generate new ideas. And he's very good at it, especially considering his great experience. In commerce, in Forex, I believe, more than 12 years. We spoke, but I see what he's talking about and the facts he presents. And 4 years of DeFi, including creating trading bots. When I hear from him how much of an expert he is in the world of DeFi, how well he knows the direct competitor, DYTX, how much he can tell about him. Well, I have no questions. That is, at some point, I realized that people just need to get to know him better, but that's over time. Right now, we have some status. The project. Before, people weren't really interested in what Axiome was.
Well,
let's
let's
honest.
put it this way.
Not
If
to
we had our
everyone.
interests-
Yes, the testnet started, kind of a wave kicked off, but because the development team was implementing new products in advance, so that all this stretch the exit a bit, and we had waves. And at some point, Alex stopped contacting.
And the focus
yes.
here. The focus on development.
is more on legal,
On his part of
yes,
the business,
absolutely.
yes.
And now I think there will be a lot of interest. If it reaches the Russian-speaking audience, now I think they'll be like, Toaster, finally we saw him. Because before on Zoom, what was it? 150 to 200 people, but that was just the start. It was January 10th. Now it's March 30th. In connection with how much time hasn't passed. And now when real numbers are coming in, we have an app now. We have revenues. We started mining. We got leadership bonuses today, and everyone was shocked about leadership bonuses, how it works. And now when Alex comes out, people will suddenly realize that actually it's not artificial intelligence, but really a cool guy. It's just a matter of time, so I'm not worried at all.
You shared your feelings about Alex and the project as a whole, but you're too absorbed in it. Well, more precisely, not too intensely, you have studied the information in depth, you had the opportunity and time for it, but judging by the ESO, you're not alone here.
100%.
What do you think draws people here? There is currently a very wide variety of not only types of crypto projects, but also opportunities in general. Artificial intelligence and so on. A lot is evolving. Why such a huge crowd came and gathered here?
I'll start with a question for you. You've been in a lot of projects, like in terms of projects. You spun around.
Well, I've seen a lot.
Plus you spun around. Some projects that is we multixers, we these drop hunters, well, you can stone us. And Mosers, yes, how else is it called? Did you do a lot? Were you ever so immersed in the project? We were sitting in Discords, just like that, but essentially it's the same as our Telegram chats. But have you ever been so deeply immersed in a project that it inspired you, made you part of the community? Do you see the difference, spinning a project and being part of the community? Some kind of desire for the project?
Well, any thoughts, but they never reach the form of expression.
Well, it was not
for
interesting.
example, I dived into the chat and Discord to see what people are discussing, what interests them, how they perceive things. I didn't have the motivation to love it so deeply. The best I can get from this project is that its token, which I'll have lying around, will rise in value due to the interesting developments there, including lieutenants. 2 in sports contracts and others. So the best thing I'll get from going behind the head now and learning how everything works, from the code to the tokenomics and marketing, etc. At most, what I can get from this, like Krypton, well, as part of the community. This is the growth of the token, its increase in value, but why study it if I can just buy it, hold it in my sleep, and it will grow anyway?
Federico,
why learn all this?
This is the main problem.
No motivation to study?
Even with fundamental products.
There's a difference between buying a coin for your passport and just holding it and to be part of the community. Objectively, if you really step back from the network, from referral programs and so on, how often, with a cool head, you often figured things out for yourself. On MetaMask, on Trust Wallet, anywhere else, in Aptos, a whole bunch of different things. Have you withdrawn to be part of the community? To stake, for example,
if it breaks it down for
the
that,
main
let's go.
motivation in crypto is mostly a drop or something. And mainly, we saw this clearly through Starknet. Starknet launches, the snapshot is taken, and the metrics go down right away, right after
and
the
it's not even about seeing the polyhedron.
Yes, those same elevators in the polyhedron were what? Almost $500 snapshot. Сейчас то на то стади уже price at half. People only need money from these projects. Well, that's normal, but nobody wants to stay long term. Very few remain as holders, as part of the community. A very simple example is, say, Arbitrum. Here, I don't remember exactly, but there were about 4 million interactions with wallets, more or less, interacting with arbiters. How many shares did they get? 600,000. The drop was $1.6 billion. That is, and how many out of those 4 million wallets are actually users and project holders? Think about it. How many of these people are part of the living community? Neither abusers nor drop hunters, but a pure living community. Well, let's hope for 1,200. But even from those, you can subtract half, because here are 100,000 who will get the drop and leave.
So actually, when some users in chats and so on were talking about how their support for funds, if I knew that some fund poured a yard into NextDex or Axiome, I would have joined. Actually, I've really looked into these projects with the foundation Funds are cool.
Yes,
funds
but
are,
nobody says NextDex won't have funds.
Yes, well, I mean, investing in the project is like acknowledging Mania
Yes, a
for
little
penalty
needle.
bonds, which is good at understanding this sphere, did the audit of the project for me. And if he invested money in it, then he liked the project. Thus, instead of studying it himself, I'm just looking at who investing in this project and just like that. But these guys...
Well, if he invested in the paradigm,
Yes.
that's it. Go
yes,
ahead.
they are not fools. They will not invest in nonsense, and I'm in. Personally, for me, I could be wrong. This is my personal opinion. But looking at the investments of funds to make decisions about the project quality, it's laziness. It's
But yes, in
laziness to
fact,
not delve into the
this is why,
prospects on one's own.
We're not talking about some degens who are deeply into researching projects.
Let's take a look.
It's not about you, but about regular users who want to get into crypto.
Again,
and
here we
those
go.
who stocked up on ICOs, but then
That's-
sat in chat saying, well, of course, there were no funds. Let's see what this
To go or
project
not
is
to.
It's
about.
like, I would like to say that in order to attract an audience of 600,000 wallet drops, well, they attracted 4 million there again. That's the Vandota. There were 4 million MetaMask interactions with this protocol in the mainnet, but without tokens. Hypothetically, 600,000 wallets received a fraction. Received about one, conditionally. There it's more than a billion, 1.6. I don't remember the exact figures, $1 billion. To do what? To attract a live audience of 150,000 people. Well, if you remove all men, cartoons, remove all random users who accidentally transferred the stream to Orbitum. How many are in layer 0? Like in layer 0, yes, 4, and like... To the issues. 3.5 to 4.6, haven't checked the metrics in a while. 4.6 million interactions with the protocol, specifically individual wallets. And how many of them accidentally, say through Woofy? Yeah, just made a swap. Many. But how many real users among them? And get a drop? Well, about 1,300.
But let me tell you, those drop hunters who went crazy with arbitrages, most of them
Sleep
dumped their token
barely.
immediately because it makes no sense.
Utilitarianism.
Yes, why keep it? It's not needed. It's just like the project's token, a good
no,
project's
wait,
token, but currently it's not required for using the project's resources.
Well, now yes. It's not utilitarian
You
at the moment.
should-
They might later, like Asthmatic does, introduce the ability to pay fees with their own token. But again, when that happens, well,
Yes, but
I
for
think
now,
Bob knows.
it's just the project's token, which isn't needed to use the product. I'm not an Arbitrum developer, nor a developer in general, but I think, in my opinion, when not by the stone of Godot Arbitrum, but if you... It has the right to be called some sort of ecosystem, not even in terms of being in Ethereum ecosystems, but the project itself as an ecosystem.
We're talking about the community.
Yes, I mean, the interest in the token is maintained by the interaction. Is the token needed? For instance, Ethereum is definitely needed because so much is built on it, and all of it pays a fee in Ethereum. No question about whether it's needed and if there will be demand. There will be. Yes, the price will depend on demand, but there will always be demand. We can't predict the volume, bullish, bearish,
And
etc.
my point is...
And here's where this token comes into play. But most people, which brings me back to the initial question, why is there such a large CIS European and international community here that Axiome is at such a stage when the app has only recently appeared? And that was even in testnet. When mainnet had just launched, they crashed the payment system during the
6,000
ICO.
clicks per second.
Why? Why here?
Imagine entering the crypt, not through something similar. So, what did you grow up through into the crypt?
No, well, obviously, at the time, I wouldn't have been sitting alone reading crypto
is
anarchist
impossible.
posts on a
You
forum.
are-
I was lucky to find people online who explained it to me. Then I started gaining experience and can distinguish scams from network ones.
These are different things.
I'll continue. The fact is, there are people interested on the development of the project. We have a referral program, but without this referral program, you see what's happening. If I don't have a direct interest in teaching you to be effective, we have a community where one says one thing, another says something else. There's no unified concept. For me, it's a tool. Someone says, only pyramids use such methods. No, let's be objective. It's direct marketing. It's a tool. It's used in affiliate programs as well as by pyramids. It's like nuclear weapons. There's nuclear fusion.
Cold,
for example,
hot, doesn't matter
there are
at
a
all.
lot,
Wait,
yes.
hold on. There's nuclear weapons and it's like minus cold or hot fusion, right? I'm not much into quantum physics, but there's nuclear
The
energy.
purpose of use can
Yes.
vary.
So it's exactly the same with the referral system. The purpose of the bonus can vary greatly. You can deploy a lot here. Answers which you will then cancel, but there's a chance that really. So accelerating the process. Why the axiometry? They need, well, in half a year, a huge number of people have worked here in the developer team. Teach them to trade, move to next DEX, and create huge liquidity. Because if you take it as usual, DEXs are half the trades,
On the tongue.
well, half practically. These are institutions.
Essentially, real trading operations by traders. Put
DEX,
them on.
if I'm not mistaken, 10,000 traders. Very few in reality. Imagine if we could, through leadership bonuses, through. And my referral Thanks to the tasty loot from all these
That's
metrics.
all people
Yes.
need.
Everything people need. Everything that is interesting to them.
There is immediate
It's
income,
present.
and there is income based on its
This is a
harm.
major leader.
In
Gathering
6
here,
months, our community reached 80,000 registrations out of a potential 500,000. It's quite possible within 6 months, considering how big the community already is. I think it's very doable. We take 10% from them, 50,000 people who, thanks to the academy that will be issuing next DEX, have learned to trade. Some learned how to trade for real, others just opened and closed the trade, like the drop hunters on EVA recently or at BlizzCon. Toto, in the backpack, they simply took, for instance, $10,000 or maybe $5,000.
10th month.
Opened and closed the deal, racking up fees to get a drop. But that's just the usual scheme in dropshipping. You've seen it yourself. 50,000 people learned to trade. For example, with a leverage of 5, with a 500.
$5 a day.
That's $12,500 each month. This to this, each of the 50,000 people lives.
By real people?
People. $12.5 in commissions. Why? To farm entity token, that is, they don't just leave fees to get the maximum later, but to farm entity, $12.5 a month, a day. And that's $12,500 in trade turnover. And it turns out, if we multiply 50,000 people by $12,500, that's $625 million in trading per day. So, half of today's direct, right? And there, for example, Apex was released. Apex by Bybit. It currently has a trading volume below the daily $240 million. Well, can we show what a wow is? The backpack selected 25,000 people in a month from their first wave and drop. 25,000 people. We already have 80. It's clear that some of them might not be alive, but we'll see who's still with us, who's alive and who's not, because of the community. Various. If 50,000 people leave $12 arrivals, commissions, that's almost $90 million a month. And again, if we don't remember...
Well, again, the figure is very
only the
rounded,
long part
but
remains.
to understand the prospects.
That's a goal I would like to influence.
Each of us can influence
spinning up the system. Why? Because half goes into the Axiome. Charges all trading commissions in USDT, half of them. That is if at some point we make a profit of $20 million on the exchange. And I've already said what needs to be done to make conditionally 19 million until 6 months later. We will have around 35 million coins under the economy. In this case, each coin will bring in 28 million. Divide $10 million by 35 million coins. That means each coin. Delegating will bring you pure profit in USDT. 28 cents. If you have 100,000 coins, you have a profit of $28,000. Wouldn't you go to next deck to trade? Wouldn't you bring everyone there?
My personal life experience, obviously, I'm more modest than you, than many Kryptons. But always around. And if I traded on the spot, never on futures, well, it seems I can't stay here. In any case, I'm already an ex-staker. I'll get staking commission for Axiome, next DEX commission for this. Part of the distribution is on me. If NextDex takes off the academy, as you, Binance is a good academy, relatively speaking, of course, but overall, it's good. I'm really looking forward to learning futures trading. I know the theories, there's Fibonacci, all that story. But here, in this case, when it's already
direct interest.
I have a direct interest in this and why I didn't trade futures before. I am an emotional person. For me, it's difficult. But here, when I get paid for trading, even if I end up at a loss, for the auctions and for my spending, they charge the commission there. there's non-deliverable forward, I froze them and got Tether again.
And in Axiome,
For me,
there is also Zushi.
this trading will become not so much a stressful process, but simply an adventure where I could earn or not, since I'm no expert as a trader.
The community gathers here at Devas 1. Perhaps they were networkers from the products. Perhaps they were former cryptos or future cryptos with varying experiences. Someone is new to crypto, someone has only been in crypto for a few months, and someone has been in it for a long time. Just imagine, I've been running an academy for 7 months. Getting into this academy was quite a decent risk.
The average
the average person, I mean, not everyone could afford it.
Yes.
But here, they get the same knowledge. Simply because they are on my team. That's wonderful. That is, I have traders in my team. I will teach people to trade. Well, it's clear that it won't be right in the club, but they will live with us. And you're asking why there are so many people here. Precisely because they are ready to share knowledge. Enter any chat, for example. Cosmos. There was some space for dummies. Yes, from
yes,
the
I
chat
was
Telegram.
in many chats about space. Their people are generally ready to share knowledge. The Cosmos is a very friendly ecosystem. I really connect with it, especially when hanging out in chats and answering questions there. Newcomers responding in the old-timers chat. But these old-timers of the chat could get this information in certain ways, directly from the SEO Cosmos, from developers, and so on. So, space is actually a good example,
but they don't
rather
have a
than
direct
bad one.
interest.
But they have no direct interest. So the community, I didn't get the principle it's based on. I stayed there out of curiosity. To study the ecosystem. I understood how it works and left, well, to be directly evolving there and just, well, I'll buy something and that's it.
It's just
exactly what I didn't get. Maybe it's
mostly,
not a choice of
that's
you.
how it happens. Meaning you join a community and they share with you just because you can add some liquidity. Or
Yes.
just because they want to share expertise,
Unjust
receive
sociable
social
people
love.
who wondered why study
Yes,
all
to
this,
share with you. They're just bored. They sit on Cosmos validators and share information with you, so maybe later you'll stake with them. War, that's like turning a penny into a ruble. That is their direct motivation. We do not yet understand. I do not yet
Just
understand.
a wave of
Understand.
magic.
Yes, everyone has their own. My own, here I have a direct interest in everything. That is, you came to my team, for example. Yes, and I have an interest in you being here. And the company understands that this is the most efficient way to prepare people for DEX.
in a short period.
In a short time.
Either
Imagine
10
if,
years of development or the most effective marketing method.
yeah, imagine DEX would just leave. There he goes and that's it. Next DEX. Here you go. Without referral systems, because there would not be any on DEX. Without any extraordinary profits. Because the only possible way to mine entity tokens of the next DEX exchange is to trade. That's it. No other options. Or provide liquidity, but this is mostly for the real serious. Yes. Meaning not $100. It's more like several millions, most likely. And then you also get entity. There are no other options. In such a case, people would be holding their heads, not understanding what to do. Because, well, if it's that simple, why? Lots of projects like DEX are coming out, but they're not all getting attention. Well, they're not. They don't warm them up, don't participate. So why should XDEX have been much different?
You know, NextTech will be innovative in many ways. And initially, the thought was that it would be innovative because it shares a large portion of the commissions. As for now, I wasn't very familiar with DEX, honestly, because, well, again, I opted for simplicity. Put the coins in for sex, money, and all. Everything you need is there. Luckily for me, the universe protected me from such incidents where I got burned by sex. But there were people around me who did. So, I had no direct motivation towards DEX, and I'm just starting to explore now. Well, I think they are good exchanges, no unmet needs.
Yes, look.
What's happening in the market now?
They are centralized exchanges. For those who don't know, a centralized exchange is where you store your funds, but they don't belong to you. That's important. So essentially, SEX and DEXing is
they
more...
belong to the
yes,
user, but they are on the exchange.
When you top up your exchange, you're topping up one of their MetaMasks.
Yes.
You don't have the seed phrase for it. And if the exchange doesn't like something about you, or like what happened with OKEX just now, go through the verification again. If you didn't pass, funds are frozen. Yeah, right now I didn't pass. I have $200 stuck there.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, we had a case like with BitGet. They blocked a whole $60,000 for my friend, and that's a pretty normal story for. I mean, it's practice shows that.
But that's how the world works. The world of sex
from
works.
DEX's perspective, like you keep everything in your MetaMask. Just connect to the DEX to trade. The time for DEXs just hasn't come yet. Well, it's starting. But with the blocking of exchanges, freezes, sanctions, all this situation, liquidity will gradually shift further.
And the next question, if I usually give so many questions to traders, I say, look, where are you trading? We met there, for example, to discuss axioms. And he says, oh, yuck, where there are fanboys, where there are pyramids, you guys have an intro, blah, blah, blah. Well, all the standard models, right? I ask, look, are you trading on WASX right now, for example, right? Hypothetically speaking. Or what do you get?
What does a trader need to trade? That's liquidity and a smooth experience.
Basically, that's it.
Well, if you're
No,
a market
and if I'm
maker...
a blogger, I'm also interested in a little referral.
No, but look, it's like you're a trader.
Well, like a pure trader,
As a
liquidity
trader,
for the scene to be quickly sipped.
yes.
That is, it's important for speed. And basically, yes, the interface,
Software,
yes.
that's it.
Well, so
Nothing
it doesn't
more.
lag.
By
Through
chance.
next decks, you get A, liquidity, B, convenient software. Check out the software. Regarding UX UI, it's just when I saw DEX, I wondered what they had done at all.
I'll repeat myself. Dex is not very pleased because I'm going into the kitchen. Something like Osmosis DVDX. And it's like,
Well,
what's
you've
this?
entered
Where
next
should I
Dex.
click? I
Understandable.
understand everything. Yes, I'll hang there for 5 minutes. But to learn how to trade on DivideX, I need a manual, someone to ensure me, so I don't end up pressing the wrong thing. That's it. Well, yeah, I am not exactly a crypto daredevil, but at the same time, I don't consider myself totally ignorant.
Who
but
are
it's
you
complicated
and what
for
are
me
you
there.
leading to?
On Nextex, I figured out how to proceed.
It's
in
very
principle.
convenient software. A very handy take profit and stop loss indicator. Very convenient profit. Shows what your position is. You can open any wallet as it's trading. Your metrics are very clear. Yes, how much commission you leave, how much volume you've built up. Everything is made for simplicity. That is, you come in, as the customer path. You come in and everything is clear to you. Here's the terminal. Here are your deals. Here's analytics. Here's funding, all in one place.
I don't know what I was thinking just now. Usually, they make sales funnels leading up to a purchase. Here's a money-making funnel. Just go into the action. We'll give you USDT for that. You take it to the exchange. We'll provide entity. I mean the system. We'll give, for this, je krijgt untis, you'll get the commission. Meaning it's a money-making funnel. And they guide you through it.
Making profit,
the system,
a profit generation
right?
funnel. You could literally make a sign. Yes, essentially for a trader, like what I can do here. What's my offer? I'm saying you do the same actions, open the same positions, the same leverage, everything the same, but to что you receive the net and the token, and if you didn't sell it but staked it, you get a commission. So he's not just covering his commissions, which he leaves on the CXs and DEX anyway, in any case.
Don't forget to hit like.
He gets not just a token like on DWDX, but this token also generates profit in USDT. Wow. And imagine I gave an example with $20 million. We generated numbers for 50,000 people who will be trading on the exchange out of 500,000. Users registered, for example, 10 million goes to the entity token. But how many will there be at the start? Well, 4 or 5 million, depending on the token.
And look, Clint, that is everyone.
Yes, every entity token will give you $2. How much should the token cost in that case? Well, if it costs $4, what's that? A 50% profit per month, but it will be bought up quickly, just to stake and earn $1, which means it will cost quite a bit. And now, look, in the next era, 3.8 million tokens will be distributed. Liquidity, an open liquidity program, and 2.8 million for trading rewards. If a token is worth, say, $10, conditionally $10, that's 20% per month in dollars. If so, then next time we'll be fighting for what? For $38 million we'll fight next time? Sounds good. To get the token equivalent. Well, there's going to be a battle. In next decks, a very serious battle could unfold. And our task is simply to have that battle. To have someone to fight between. This means that many people come who, well, yes, are inexperienced, okay, but a large number of people. A lot more. Check out the movie, by the way. Speaking of the movie, watch Bad Money. Bad Money just hits home for me, I remember. At the pre-launch we watched. I watched it 3 times at once, cried in places, really. I watch and think, that's what the community can do so much.
Yes.
For real?
And they thought twice you were a follower. Fell asleep.
And only on the
Last
third
time,
try.
When I understood why you were so inspired by this project, I was like, let's watch this movie now.
Yes,
A cool bandana is targeted right now. We have the ability to flip everything if we want to, if we're unified enough. It's the first token with a high mining rate. Detto mane You said it very beautifully here.
The first volatile
a velocity
that
token.
offers a stable coin.
Yeah.
Not my
It's
words,
in the SEO document.
CEO.
And they also bargain over features, like, for haters. And if you don't believe in the Axiome, get in line. Really. I mean, if you don't believe in the Axiome, short it. Extra quintessence for us. I mean, and in any case, you will earn NDT if you're wrong. Imagine such a situation. And at some point, I realized that a big community plus a good economy plus, well, you see the big picture. I think in images. You remember how I think, right? When we're speeding up, I think in images, and I get joined by several bases to one. Bricks, right? But it's not a brick anymore.
VHS overlay.
Yes, it's like layers on top of each other. That means there's blockchain. There's an economy, ecosystem, people, community, products, blah, blah, blah. And it all somehow balances each other out. And I understand that, look, we have a large community already. We've got a well-spread token. Spread this well, because the more people own a small share of the token, the better. Well,
no, such strength is always good for anything.
Ask any project. Would you choose 1 million users with $100 or 100 users with 1 million? It's obvious. We have a community. We have spray coins. We have a great development, and Axiom itself is powerful too. ABC modules, smart contracts, the ability to create layer 2 solutions on Axiom, or using it as a payment gateway. Yes, I mean for your own projects with the help of smart contract.
Well, let's say now the perception of Axiom as the marketing department of Nextex, because Nextex was the first product to appear, then Axiom was created. But the Axiom itself will surprise us a lot still.
And we've been generating here the number of people, the amount. Imagine if we make there 500,000 users in Axiom, what will be the capitalization of the Axiom project? Around 200 to 300 million. We've seen examples. We've seen how it's enough. Well, not super serious projects internally achieved good results and, serious about products. Here, there's something worth working for. Meaning we have a clear goal, a specific mechanism. That is, the start of most fundamental projects is to get the drop and leave. But for us, the start is just the beginning. Where all this power begins is only at the gathering. And then boom goes into ecstasy. Like a point, like a dot, and we're going to get closer through the Nextdex testnet, through training on translation, through various formations, yes, that the community will go through. At some point, we just boom in the market. Can you imagine? I don't know of any in history DEX that would have, say, a mother token with capitalization already at $300 million. Imagine.
Let me put it this way. I don't know a single popular DEX.
Yes, well, no.
Well, look, even people who, we know many people, we've been in the crypto community for a long time. And it's not that it's just one crypto community of one project, but just people who know something somewhere. But when you ask, what's the top DEX now? People are hitting up Google, even those who are always everywhere in crypto. Most of them are like, who's there now? I don't remember. Probably Osmosis, but it's not at the top right now. So in general, texts aren't that popular. But when Nextdex Axiom makes noise in the CES, just
but
the
it's
memory.
not only Sean Brad.
Not only the CES, naturally, the memory itself. At least, when most folks unfamiliar with crypto are asked, what a crypto exchange is. They don't say it's kind of Binance, they say it is Binance.
Yes.
So Nextdex will also become such a narrative.
That would be cool.
Like for some people, a crypto exchange equals Binance. Just like that. A cool decentralized exchange equals Nextdev. Just like that. Like zero association, like a volcano.
Look, I'll just explain why we can say that. Because no company, no DEX gives back so much.
Well, there's no more than 100%
yes,
certainty.
The flu is more
100%.
Not a single DEX. I don't know any DEX that would give more than 25%. I know a couple that give 25%. But to give 100% for 2 tokens, that is 50% for 1 token, 50% for the other, I've never seen that. Can you imagine? It's clear that the company, the majority of tokens will be, so they are not shortchanging themselves
but
in any
not
case.
in
yes.
a proportional equal relationship with us, but this...
You can be a big staker too and farm yourself 1 million tokens, for example, Axie, and receive, well, give or take. If we speak about a company, it also has its expenses. You don't have them. You're just generating over there. Somehow bought 1 million tokens.
Yes, here I am trying to recall. I don't know any DAO examples.
Beautiful.
Which matches the cryptocurrency concept. That's the original concept of cryptocurrency as it was born, because the Bitcoin idea wouldn't have advanced further if it were a tangible idea. Here's an idea, almost a religion, that really went mainstream. And it's precisely because of that, their decentralization, autonomy, these cryptocurrency principles are fundamental, hard to adhere to nowadays, simply due to world laws. It's difficult for crypto projects to comply. I don't know a single example of a worthy DAO.
Well,
and
because
this
it gave a
turns
dangerous
out,
one.
but here, when the company owners themselves receive a part of the profit on an equal basis with the user's conditions, to me, it's exactly
Yes, that's
that.
right. The thing is, if the project's really cool, funds swoop in, they absorb. Funds usually absorb. It's important to understand. And I doubt that if Nextex already had funds, they would have allowed the possibility of accessories appearing. Because 50% of the profit went to the second token, but that's unthinkable for the fund. It can't be done like that. Because in such cases, they lose profit. Companies lose profit, meaning funds lose profit. So, well, I really like the strategy of Nextex. They are not yet shouting about the funds. They are negotiating, I'm sure of it. And once we have a huge community, yes, and we managed to crash Coinbase. Yes, that means we've already made a splash in a way. 6,000 clicks per second. Can you believe it? Crash Coinbase. That's fabulous,
Dismissed,
isn't it? And here we are, approaching the release of Next Dice. And when we have already generated a vast amount of the community. But wouldn't the funds find this uninteresting? We can just offer them terms then.
But at the same time, you know the assumption? Maybe you are about to add some information to this area. For me, it seems usually crypto projects choose the path of funds precisely because of the fear. Getting bogged down in complaints due to fear of referral program perception in most countries and so on. But usually, there are two paths. Rare funds. Because even if a company has a huge semi-owned investments, they still need to bring those investments somewhere where there are people or the community's funds. Either there's some referral system, meaning the crypto project needs to arrive somewhere, regardless of whether it has development funds. And here are two paths. Funds and the community directly through a referral program, for example. Why does it seem like we need to measure a project's quality by the funds? Because as if there are fears of using a referral. Plus, it might burn out. But with fandoms, there could be another situation where a fund, for its internal reasons, related to their economic business processes, pulls money from a project. There's a very high risk of this project being scammed just by news. Not by token influx, but merely by news.
That's it, we're with you.
When a fund withdraws its money from a project for its personal reasons, economic and so on, this news can often scam projects, no matter how cool they may be. So, there are risks. But that's why most projects still choose this path into the fund, which is no less risky than the path of referral programs.
Because mostly no one comes out with a finished product already. Not usually, a project when it has some idea, development, some work done conditionally. They have the desire to develop it, meaning not to come with something ready, but rather, guys, we're going to...
we have a startup, here's our idea.
Yes, here's our idea. Give us money, like $100 to $200 million, different rounds, naturally, ABC, or even the earliest ones.
Private rounds, raising funds for development, not very
they are being developed
mostly.
And their main task is to make it just efficiently. And they're not in a hurry because they have plenty of funding. Yes. So Lazier is not rushing to launch. Casting isn't rushing to launch either. I'd be happy. Not so much about the account. Please pass me the shotgun. Here you go. And they're not in a hurry. And most importantly for them, it's just a safety net, just in case. Hedge, because funds don't want to lose their savings. That is here, it turns out that for a fund, for example, a very large one, roughly $50 million isn't much, but for a startup just beginning, it's a fortune.
And they can on it develop for 2 years, for instance, yes, and in this way they
end up in a win-win situation, but they lose a bit in the long run. Because funds do accumulate this asset after all. Like what happened when FTX collapsed? Why did Solana fall so hard? Because of Alameda Research. There was a vast amount of salad, and on the fears of selling, nobody sold anything. On the fears that it would significantly affect, everything collapsed. And then Solana was at $7, now at $150. Here's some simple logic for you, but from the point of view of exiting, it's safer for them. Because relying on hype or influencers is always scary. Always scary. But we never talk about the project that currently has a capitalization of $5 to $4 million. It's not that we started weak, it just shouldn't have been blown out of proportion. We didn't need that. Currently, our project's capitalization is $5.4 million. At what cost? Modestly. That's fine. for how much we can shake it up and destroy it for Nextex's launch, and how Nextex will then help us gain momentum. So we get a strength from there. Yeah, quite seriously, $150-300 million in 6 months is quite achievable simply because we have such resources. And when Nextex is released, we aim for at least 10% of our capitalization there with futures, right? So what's Nextex's market cap going to be? Much more than Axiome. And he starts sharing profits and traffic with us. And then the balance begins. What fundamental products lack is a cool tool for cycles. Yes, there's a cycle. For example, Aptos was launched, but when Aptos launched, it distributed a drop for testnet. And now the second wave is a year later. But this year it has no activity.
No cycle, so to speak. Let's simplify everything a bit. From crypto to plain sales, the customer retention cycle. And until it's still there.
Yes.
If we take a regular market, there's no customer retention. And here the cycle is very sequential. Your Nextex release is delayed. All this time. My interest here is because I have a 20% staking. If something goes wrong, they fall silent. Safe. Let's see how it will work out there in the long term. But at this moment, 20% don't scare me. Because of its mechanisms, that is my focus here. Since I have a passive here, high yield as usual.
Should not working again for some reason.
Well, you understand what I'm talking about, right? I have leadership bonuses here, for example. If you build and spread the idea there, but those show I have validation here. I have a node here, meaning even before the launch of Nextex, my intellectual interest is still here,
I'll
like
shoot,
clients.
And the most important thing, I'm not waiting for a drop here. We will have a drop. Get used to it. For exchange listings, it'll be minor, though $100,000 is quite a feat. At one point, $150,000 were being distributed.
After a week of delisting.
Yeah.
And it's unknown what the cost
that
will
is.
be.
It's unknown how many coins that will be.
So it turns out we'll have a drop too, like Nextex, most likely. So will Axiome soon. And only here the interest is already after the start. For example, there is into Orbiterium or Scroll or somewhere else. It's exciting to get in such foundational projects, interesting to join before the start, but in Axiome's case, interesting after. And at some point, I realized something. I will earn on every single one of my Axiome tokens. Well, some amount of sense. My task for these 6 months, thanks to referral systems, leadership bonuses, mining, validation, and all the possible revenues we have inside. And just earn more coin, everything. And they've given you the tools. You can use the shout, you can skip the shout, you can use leadership bonuses, set validation, however you like.
You are exactly coming to the conclusion. I really like this. So what was the initial question? Why? Well, that's it. We're here.
Here you go.
So we're getting to the point. Let me summarize it. Overall, for most people, interest. Beyond some other sub-interests, let's say, like community, like self-development and so on, the main interest is money. Naturally, most people, since most have plans beyond just making money, always aim to earn it the easy way or relatively easy. So they have time medicines.
Easier than hard.
Yes.
So practically, there's a 99% hit rate into the general population. It's possible to semi-passively and easily make money to live your life the way you shape it, some for charity, others further on.
But without becoming a hyper expert.
Bye.
I mean, like spinning accounts. Sorry for interrupting. It's not super complex mechanics.
Time
simple.
to spend.
It's very long. That is, I got totally burnt
I do
out
not
in 6
remember
months.
those 3 months.
Yes, they just fell out. Although objectively, it's very popular and it's a very costly thing, meaning you'll earn a lot from it. But I understand. I'm driven here. I enjoy it. I interact with people. I'm setting up some meetings. We talk about crypto and everything at Hookah
There's
Bus.
a very important psychological moment in drop hunting. I don't know when and how much I'll get. And without a community, not communicating with others about it, just burn out. And I give up. Here is where my profit generation is ongoing all the time. So, I don't have to wait for hypothetical 6 months to a year, however long it takes for layering to come out. I have to wait a long time. I'm here now, realizing it's all real and worth it. Then, of course, there are prospects, roadmaps, and so on. So what I'm getting at, the interest of most people, it's to make money by a way that lets them unlock some potential. no matter the field, because after all, we're practically still in capitalism in almost every country, and everything requires money, as mercantile and superficial as it may sound. In fact, even for some kind of spiritual development,
Money is
resources are
security.
needed. Essentially here, needs of very different ones are covered, groups of people, sociable, all that stuff. Obviously, go into influence, you'll have fun there. In oil. Salespeople have always made good money for thousands of years. Since ancient Greece, salespeople have always earned well. And that's good. You just have the opportunity to invest money there. You have a passive exit. There's a possibility. You know how to set up remote servers there. You go, you have a node. You know how to trade there. You go Nextdex. Want to learn trading? Here's Nextdex for you.
If you have an idea for a project, join the ecosystem.
Yes.
No?
It's like the interests of very different groups of people, businessmen, are covered. Creating your projects, introverts hit like a node.
Stay there.
That they make passive trade, engage in trading, and so on. Sociable, please. The community is missing. The group of like-minded people is missing. Please. That is, there are a lot of intersecting interests. Do you have
This
them?
is what makes the community special, and because of what it will shape up. Thanks to such tools within the Axiome, including Safely. Taxonomics for many people, there's this trick for someone in sales. 3 colors, I think, something. I've been at it for a while. I'm a networker with experience, A networker with experience, honestly, I don't remember. There's something for security, for movement, for involvement. Everyone here has their questions answered because, well, say something with cinema logic. 20% isn't an argument for being bad, since many projects have a 15% TGE each month. What's with TGE, not mining? Just like that, objectively. You have tokens staked there, like in the meme, right, in potatoes and oil. You have a certain percentage per month set in the TGE. Isn't that like 50% a month, for example, or 20% a month? 20% a month. Same story, just here we go from start to finish, while TGE is already at work mining the whole mission.
No, they come from a chest, it's
they are
locked.
obtained from the chest, just obtained differently. Somewhere through consensus, yes, as in our case, and somewhere it's because they often have some layer. Layer 2, Layer 3, depending on the project, they are obtained from pre-mining and given to people. Tokens...
when I buy some asset, especially an expensive one, like that investment you mentioned, I want to understand that you're getting 15% a month there. Those 15 to 20, how much I get, that they will be needed by someone. I can get even 40% a month, I'm sure. If you look around, there are such projects out there right now. But the token might not be needed by anyone. So, it's important to understand that this is a token I'm mining. Someone needs it, because why would I bring oranges from Georgia if no one in Belarus eats them, you know?
By the way, remember how we discussed in the chat that Gappy outdid Stucknet in terms of capitalization?
So brief.
Like a meme. It's just me sitting there. Wow. Like some meme coin just outpaced Stucknet in half a year.
To spend millions of dollars more technologically.
Billions of dollars, the whole shebang. And, at some point, I realized that the more complex the project, Axioma is also a complex project, but it has a simple base.
He has levels of understanding. You see, there are a lot of chats now, very different people there. And here's for someone who's in the crypt for the first time, they have a small capacity to absorb information. Quite specific, agree. There are simple schemes for understanding it. Here's just a passive for you. Just invite your mom or grandma, and there's your bonus. That's it. Sit back, develop, and see how it works. And for the younger ones, as they were people, there's something else. Find out how the share from network commissions works, learn how validation works, so you understand the concept. For those who want to delve deeper, here's a roadmap with Nextdex. And you'll understand why we're all here in the first place.
Build projects on the ecosystem.
And so why is this project popular among very different people? During the ICO, there were so many requests from people. Help me buy in. I don't understand anything about crypto, but I need this.
Yeah.
So I genuinely believe and hope that currently no one in this project is working just for a quick buck, simply to invest money and then passively earn.
There are some, but a small percentage.
I sincerely hope that they at least explain staking to such beginners. Just how staking works. It's not like Santa Claus comes at night and places coins in your wallet.
At least quietly, Brian.
Just staking. To start with the basics. And then, roughly speaking, a person's capacity in this world develops, his capacity for perception.
I actually liked what Alik said, that To one of the whales, he mentioned that Axiome might be the first project for many to dive into crypto and see its potential. And for me, well, I also stumbled upon crypto by chance. I wasn't, 5 years ago, I was 21 and I accidentally got into crypto because of one of the projects. That's how many people meet. Well, they have different experiences. Negative, positive, it doesn't matter. But in any case, just touching crypto, then you forget about her very hard.
You know, even just trivially, I recently went for a manicure. And the mother of the technician I was chatting with, she was in some project. It has depreciated
Let me guess.
completely.
Because of
Well,
hyperinflation?
that's it, basically.
Oh, right.
It's normal if there's passive mining.
With hyperinflation. That's how it worked in
was
my...
the deal.
It's the way.
And
Yes,
so,
captivity.
it's clear the token depreciated. But despite her, let's say, mature age, her own interest in the system remained. And subsequently, a person delves deeper, as it was for me. I wonder, how do coins get into my wallet? My very first project was 3 years ago. And what is staking? And how does it work with the
What
blockchain?
is space?
I mean, with the blocks I get some coins. But what are these blocks? Blockchain. And the interest, it keeps drawing you in, drawing you in, drawing you in. And as of now, just 3 years later, I already know, at least 5 ways. In crypto and the world of crypto, I could definitely have made money. And then I choose for myself the most emotionally satisfying and profitable one that I can afford now. Whether it's spot, drop hunting, trading, or arbitrage not in our country, and so on. So, I already know all this in just 3 years. I spent 5 years at university.
Didn't figure out how to make money on this.
It works. Here, in 3 years in crypto, precisely because of having an interest, I now know how to live here in general. So, I sincerely believe that Axiome will truly become a project that introduces people. Please, from the bottom of my heart, if someone comes to you and says they just want to invest and see how it works, at least explain staking to them, how a little grain works inside a person.
At
Let
least bring
that
it up to
spark
standards.
of interest light up in them. Because, if everything is just great for us there, the company is good, but no one even explained the press release phrase to the person.
Oh, yes,
then,
by the way,
it's
it's
not
a
the
big
project's
problem.
fault, but the person lost money. So I get that it's hard to explain to everyone around. It's just a kind of good deed, just to explain how a seed phrase works, that it needs to be kept safe and all.
Like a child.
And how staking works. Then if someone becomes interested, he'll start asking questions. No, he'll stay at this level, but at least he'll understand it. I'm talking like a crypto cypherpunk, right?
Well, what about you? Did you get up in such a topic? To put it simply, people here get the chance, if they're interested, to at least dive into crypto. You can't dive in easily anywhere, either courses, objectively yes, or courses, or a lot of personal losses. It's mostly trading. That means either trading or courses.
No.
Sometimes involves some
I didn't say teaches, I said crypto hit. There's a whole bunch of requests from people. I want into crypto, please into crypto. How? What's the simplest way, if not like this? I don't know, because I got caught this way, you got caught that way.
I'm meeting more and more people now. Firstly, I'm happy to meet people who know a thing or two about crypto, especially when I'm in a taxi, talking on the phone with someone. And then the driver,
And that dude, Pepe,
what
is
are you
trading,
holding?
right?
And you waited like this for 4 months. Did you say something over the phone? It's nice, but then when I start a conversation.
Screw.
So, what do you actually know in general? What are you doing? How do you earn? Questions about 100 million in crypto?
a lot.
In most cases, someone just went on CoinMarketCap, got the top 10 coins, bought
Unbelievable.
everyone for $10, and just sits there. And whether it will grow at all or not, who the hell
I'll
knows?
tell you even more. God help if he even understood what these coins are for, to what kind.
What are they
But they don't
talking?
apply, do
What's the
they?
project
You
about
know
anyway?
what people buy the most often? Meme coins. It's like, let me stock up on some Doges, Pepe memes. What have we got? Well,
Yes.
Something
who
in the top
will
15 by
shoot?
market cap.
well, you
know?
see, again, I can understand people's logic very it's much.
hard to rely on a project like Starknet that's already roughly 1.5 billion in capitalization, and for it to give 10 times return, it needs to grow to 15 billion. That's not an easy task, so people often buy something cheap.
But buying something not top tier and cheap is always a risk, because 9 out of 10 there.
Where there's risk, there's profit.
Agree?
Well, I see that as a regular user, I can say that there are answers to the questions there, and there's logic too.
For me, it's still a bit funny, and to think that the project developers still believe that after the ICO and before the listing, on a site și
A coin is sold now.
she might, theoretically she might, but no one wants to sell her at 0.3 right now. I'm not selling at all. If they sell, it's probably because a girlfriend has come from another country. She tell us she really wanted to splurge, but she didn't have the opportunity. Well, that's the agreement. But I won't sell to anyone right now. And why? What about the developers? Well, kind of like the project creators.
Would very much
truly
like to.
believe that we're sitting here, passing 0.3 hand to hand, waiting for the listing. I don't even know where to find coins at 0.3.
If you know where to find coins for 0.3, let me know in the chat. I'll buy everything from you. I have a place for them to go. And by the way, about the listing, well, we have big problems. We have no coins for listing in a good way for us, but I think we're going to take off well because we have 90% of our coins staked. By the way, write me. I'm curious. Do you know if there's a blockchain where more than 90% of the coins are in staking? Maybe there are
There
such
is,
for
but
real.
it's more likely not a deposit.
You really know how to soften things up.
Okay, let's tone it
So
down.
what I was getting at is that at the launch, we currently have essentially 17 million coins, 10% of which are on the open market. Some of it belongs to the community, some to the developers, meaning what's there to sell if we had 3 million coins at 0.3 taken in 10 minutes.
But, there are people with very different levels of patience. That's okay. That's normal. In the market, someone will always be selling because, at the very least, people always have some
I need a
needs.
different conversation partner. Can you recommend someone else?
You're kidding.
And so, what was my point,
I
Lena?
understand that there are few coin markets, but who am I?
Yes.
You're main skeptic, right?
Let's go.
So what I'm saying is, I will always be the one selling. The question is, how many? The question is how many there will be. But in any case, there's a large number of coins now that were bought at ICOs, but aren't staked. There
Bless
are people
you.
who think that now during the listing, people
They make
will
them
make
the
a 5x
coolest
during the
themselves.
listing and then casually leave, while
Good
we
job.
sit here fools waiting for next decks. There are such people, That's fine.
Yes,
Everyone
I
has their own
agree.
strategy.
The question is how much demand exceeds what they can sell. And that's a huge difference. You can check on
But
the blockchain.
everyone has their own strategy for a certain period. Like,
After the
I want to wait at
token,
least to see if this combination works, because it's very interesting to me. If I
By
can
the
really,
age of 30, getting into crypto
well,
shows.
because look, it's a really good connection. I'm currently on an ICO. I was incredibly lucky, and I learned about the project. Until its listing, that is. After the listing, it will be easy to know. Agree. But I found out about the project before it was listed. Got lucky, I bought it at my average rate, 0.2 for cups on average. I bought myself some Axiome tokens. I've staked them. Because of mining, I'll already have 20% by the listing. Also, we're not considering the rake. I'm already earning interest during the listing. The cost might change. By the release of NextX, I participate in the commission distribution, for once being lucky enough to buy and stake. I receive it from the DT as part of the commission from NextX, going into trading this tether for fun, maybe as an expert. But first, as a trading student, I go to NextX to trade. Considering that for me, I've already, poked around, used it, it's understandable. I will not have difficulties there. They'll probably need some kind of analyst community, so I don't have to do deep research and roughly understand which tokens are profitable to trade right now. From a mechanical point of view, it's understandable. I'm going to trade on NextX, receiving next technology trends. I'm talking about an NFT stake that gets half of its commissions from digital tokens. I'm really keen to see, at least until the implementation of this mechanism. Is it really possible to create such a deep funnel?
Let's go the next way.
I want to go through all 6 stages and see. Let's see how much this multiplies.
Well,
Like
it's like risk management, right? I
utilities.
mean, we're incorporating certain risks here. And if these risks don't happen, if what the developers say happens, then I want to rush into this. I want to be a
Yes.
participant and not just somewhere deep down, but one of the first, as is generally happening right now. So I want to see this in the front row, eating popcorn and thinking, here comes next Dex.
Safe.
Yes, I'm curious. It's such a thrill inside. And we have half a year ahead.
Well, let's say this is personal. We are in crypto, and therefore, watching how the strategy unfolds. The crypto strategy is what keeps me most interested here. But this is our thrill seeking.
Glad
So it
why
will be very interesting to watch this market. Well, I'm really looking forward to the implementation of this profit generation funnel. It's my ultimate goal after all. My financial goal is almost achieved in this project just after 3 rounds. But that's because I don't expect super mega X's, but life always pleasantly surprises me. Let's see.
Well, we have 6 months ahead to see this funnel and find out if it's really as we expect or if there will be some changes.
Well, you see, personally, I had no expectations in terms of numbers. My numerical expectations were already surpassed during the ICO. But in terms of technical implementation, me impressed that even without assuming any specific income level, this kind of multi-level income sounds intriguing.
I like that we're directly observing this from the front rows, I've already said, meaning we're not just onlookers, but rather...
This is the first project where we're sitting like this and discussing it on a podcast because we're interested.
Yeah, that's cool.
Besides the fact that we've delved deeper here, it's not the first projection we've delved into or present, but that's the first thing. The project about which I'm, well, not a public person at all, and they're not a super mega networker and so on, calmly come there on YouTube campaigns and say, you know, I usually don't believe, but these guys seem all right. So imagine what a huge experience it was for me sitting there for 2 months like that. I'll find something somewhere anyway. I'll figure it out, and then after 4 months, I'm out of the loop.
In the company. This is going to be an
But it will be interesting.
year.
Friends, this is not our last broadcast. Most likely there will be different speakers. There will be interesting topics. So, see you again.
Thanks, everyone.